Hi, and welcome to Crit Hit Wild, where we talk about all things Marvel Crisis Protocol, and we do a new character every week. This week, we're going to be talking about Thor, Hero of Midgard, and I'm your host, Fred.
I'm Brad.
I'm Brandon.
Hey guys, how's it going? Steven is not able to attend because he has other responsibilities that are more important than making this dumb podcast. So he will be back with us at a later date. But uh, how are the two of you doing today? I will tell you both right now, I am exhausted. How are you
Uh,
doing, Brad? I need to specify.
pretty
Sorry.
pretty
How are you doing,
tired.
Brad?
I'm pretty tired.
Yeah. How are you doing, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm tired, but it's all right.
Yeah. We are both we are both. The three of us are exhausted because we just came back from a tournament in Columbus, Ohio, that went 5 rounds and was a ringer. I feel like I've been put through the washing machine. I'm exhausted, but it was a ton of fun. Uh, but before we talk about that, I want to preface this episode by saying that we have a whole heck of a lot to talk about. So we're going to be doing things at a pretty sped up clip than we normally do. But I still want to talk about the upcoming tournaments for those of you who are listening. On the 2nd of August is the beginning of the Salt Lake Open, and there will be a grand tournament that takes place there that is also an LVO qualifier. So it sounds like it's going to be a huge event. If you are over in that area, you should check it out. On the 17th of August, there will be a tournament at Lost Legion Games and Comics in South Charleston. That's our home store. It'll probably be pretty small. It's not a major event, but it'll be fun if you want to come down and play some games. Then, coming up in September, on the 14th, is the Akron Brew Brawl. We went to this event in April. Was it April or was it March?
I think it was March.
I think it was March. You're right. And it was a blast. This is a great venue. It's a really good tournament. I really enjoyed it, and this one should be a ton of fun. Uh, Everyone in the vicinity of Akron should be attending. And then coming up on the 28th is the 28th of September is the Fabricators Forge BECC qualifying event. So head on over to that if you are going to be attending any of the BECC stuff. Okay, all right. Those are the upcoming tournaments. Uh, let's talk real quick about the tournaments that we attended over the past 2 weeks. I should also say that we missed a record last week. Uh, those
That's
of you who are
that's
paying
my
attention.
fault.
Yeah, we went to CharCon, and uh, a bad case of con crud went around, and we weren't able to record. Like it was just not gonna happen. So sorry about that, everyone. We're back, and we should be back indefinitely. Cue the existential dread. All right. So CharCon 2024, we had a tournament. It was a pretty small event. It was about 6 people attended, but it was a lot of fun. Uh, Myself, Brad, Borka, and uh, Brandon and Tony from the Princeton, and they brought their friend Zane, who is relatively new to the game. But we had a pretty fun little event. Uh, Brad, do you want to talk about your games first?
Sure. First round I played um, Brandon, who's playing his very cool looking Black Order, and he played uh, Thanos, Black Dwarf, and Corvus. That was easy to remember. And I was playing Weapon X, and I played Logan, Deadpool, Domino, X23, and Rhino. And just a real quick recap of the game. I lost X-23 first activation of turn 2. I lost Domino the first activation of turn 3. The rest of the game, he dazed my Rhino. I may or may not have dazed his Black Dwarf. If I didn't, he had 1 health left. And I did no damage to either of his other 2 models. Logan didn't make a single attack all game. In fact, he got pulled away from his D point at one point and then spent his activation moving back onto it. And him and Deadpool were scoring me enough points quick enough, because it was a spread out D, that I eventually won on points, even though I lost almost everybody. Rhino was the only model that I actually did stuff this game. Everyone else,
Oh wow,
either got killed or did nothing. But I won with points. Do you want me to go ahead and do my second game?
yeah. Go ahead and do your second game.
My second game was against Borka. He was playing Inhumans. So I really wanted to win the game. I was playing Weapon X. The big thing is I played Hulk with Venomized, and it was the energy pay to flip, which is meteors. And so I was only rolling 1 die to try to flip. And I think I rolled a skull on almost every time I rolled a die with him. So he took a damage every time. He was playing Immortal Hulk in his Inhumans list. Our Hulks ignored each other and beat up all the other models. At the end of the game, he only had Immortal Hulk left on the field, and I had Domino, Hulk, and it had to have been Sabretooth. But I moved Sabretooth to pick up the extract, just because it was the easy point. I didn't have to roll dice. And then I realized that his Immortal Hulk had an extract, so he actually scored 3 points instead of 2, which got him to 16 and won the game. And if I just had rolled the pay to flip, we would have got another turn, and then it's my 3 models versus his 2, and that's probably good for me. So I ended up losing the game by 1 point because I didn't pay to flip. And then the tournament was over, and then I played a game with Tony for fun. And that was it.
Yeah. My games were just going through them pretty quickly. I played against Tony round 1. He was playing Doc Strange versus my Dr. Octopus, and this was on sword base, and I was able to control all the sword bases most of the game just because he was having some bad luck on his flips, and I was playing the control game that I have at my disposal. I can throw people off stuff real easily, and I ended up winning this game pretty handily, but it was still a pretty good game. And then I played Brandon. This is not the Brandon who's on the podcast. It's Brandon from Princeton. And he was, Brad mentioned his. I just want to take a second and talk about his Black Order paint scheme that he's done, where he has made them all look like Cenobites from the Hellraiser series of movies, and they look incredible. This is one of the best paint jobs that I've ever seen, and it's really impressive. But so this game was very bad for me. He ended up KOing Rhino at the top of round 2, and it was downhill from there. He did end up winning on scenario because I was starting to come back. I had KO'd his Proxima Midnight, and he only had Thanos and Corvus Glaive, and Corvus was dazed. But Corvus had all 5 of the cubes at this point, and he ran to a corner, and he was just going to win on scenario if he got that. I had Electro in my list, and I had the opportunity that it was possible that Electro could do something by teleporting over to chase after Corvus Glaive using Ride the Wires and then zapping him, but I would only really get one shot because I had to move to within range of the teleport. So I teleported and whiffed the roll, unfortunately. So I lost this game, but Brandon's a fantastic opponent. He's turning into a real threat in the rotation, and I need some more experience playing against Black Order. Is really what it comes down to, because no one has played him for a little while. But okay, so and then I played a game against Zane at the end. He played okay, but he is pretty new to the game, and yeah, I tried to help him through some of the decision making of being at a tournament. But that was the end of CharCon, and it was a fun event. I enjoyed it, and I want to thank Brad for organizing it. There was an issue that it was gate kept by a $45 fee just to attend CharCon, which is kind of unfortunate. It's kind of a lot for a tournament.
It's a lot for a tournament. It's a reasonable price for the con. Like, you can get your $45 worth if you're going to other things in the con, but a lot of people just weren't interested in the rest of the con. They just wanted to play Marvel Crisis Protocol. So
right. Okay, let's move on to the BECC tournament at the Guard Tower West that we all attended yesterday as of record. So oh God, I'm tired. Okay, so we started the day off driving up to Columbus at around 7 a.m. is when we left, and we were there at around 10 o'clock and got started. It was, I think that there ended up being only 24 people attending. There were a couple people who dropped, but it was at least an even number, and it remained an even number throughout the entire event, which is good. So there weren't any buys that had to happen. All right, so let's real quick go through. I'll go first. My first round was against a real loser named Brad. And this is a theme for this event, is that I played mostly people that I know, which is really unfortunate, but that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. So I played against Brad. Brad, what were you playing?
Weapon X.
Yeah, I was playing. I think I was playing. No, I was playing Doc Ock leadership.
Yes.
Spider Foes. And this was a game that Brad could not catch a break in. Brad ended up. We were playing Spider Portals, and what was the extract? It was.
I think
was it cubes? I think it was cubes.
It could have been cubes.
I think it was. No, it was spider infected because we remembered.
Oh yeah,
that
yeah,
we
yeah.
had to do that.
I
every
mostly
single time.
played Alien Ship yesterday, but this one couldn't have been Alien Ship.
Right. So we played, and here's what happened. Brad kept rolling skulls on the spider portals.
I kept rolling skulls in general.
Yeah.
It wasn't
every time
spider
he
portals.
got a spider portal,
was it?
He would throw a skull. It was definitely spider portals. Wait, no, I'm calling it spider portals. It's just portals open.
I thought it was meteors. Oh well, spider portals.
No, it was spider portals because you kept getting teleported away from them when you roll a skull.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he'd get teleported away, and then my guy would come over and flip it back and not get teleported. That's just how things went.
And it was spider people, because I kept getting...
He kept getting moved by them.
I kept getting moved by them, and you didn't.
Yeah. The scenario was against Brad in this game. So I won, is the long and short of it.
Yeah, I was destined to lose this game.
Yeah. Uh, hey, Brandon. Why don't you tell us about your first game that you played? And while you're doing that, I need to get up real quick. Someone just rang my doorbell, and I don't know who.
It's not me. Round one, I played against what did I play against? I played against Spider Foes. He played Doc Ock's leadership, I believe. I won priority. We played on Superpowered Scoundrels and oh God, what was the extract? Cubes, maybe? I'm trying to pull it up. I'm sorry. We played Mayor Fisk and Scrolls, so I'm thinking of a completely different game. Uh, so my bad. He did play Doc Ock. We played Mayor Fisk and Scrolls. I do remember. He played we played 16 Threat and he played Doc Ock, Sandman, Shocker, Bullseye, Lizard. And I played Shadowland, Kingpin, Black Cat, Bullseye, Lizard. Uh, I was able to count for two on both the Mayor Fisk. I won 17-5.
Okay.
Yeah. We talked about it after he made the mistake. He was using the fist to hurt my characters and give them stun who were already on the point, leaving them on the point and not preventing me from having to move off the point. When we talked about it after, because he hadn't played that scenario
Yeah.
like ever. We talked about it. He needed to, or he wanted to be more attrition. He needed to try to move them together and force me to keep moving.
Yeah.
Because I was able to just sit on points and double attack models, and I didn't have to move because he was just trying to use it as a one damage thing. So,
Okay.
yep. So that was round one.
Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. I'm back. Okay. Round two. My opponent in round two was another loser named Brandon. And it's the one that's here on this podcast. Hi, Brandon. So do you want what happened in this
No,
game?
Fred, you can talk about it. It's fine.
Okay. So this was a game where I was rolling hot fire. Like I rolled very well this game. I think I rolled very well this event, I would say. But I feel like I also played this game very well. I managed. Brandon was playing Kingpin. I was playing Doc. No, I was playing Green Goblin. Spider Foes, and
I
I
played against
managed.
Spider Foes 3 times in this event.
Yeah, there were so many Spider Foes players. I
It
think there were
was,
3 Spider Foes players total, but that's so many.
but
They're usually
there were like 3 Criminal Syndicate players who were also had Spider Foes in their list.
yeah, yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
Spider Foes, they're having a moment right now. There's some good stuff there. Anyway, I don't remember the full details of exactly what happened,
We
but I
played 20
got
Threat. It was Cubes and Scoundrels.
yes, it was cubes and superpowered scoundrels. So we drew superpowered scoundrels, and I thought to myself, well, that's the game. This game is over. I've lost. And I'll spoiler alert, I don't lose this game. I win this game, which is pretty exciting for me. It shows that I can play into Kingpin if everything goes my way. That's all that needs to happen. I just need everything to go my way and I can win. That's my secret, everyone, for going against Kingpin. It doesn't go that way for the rest of the tournament. I'll tell you that right now. And I get ahead on points. I think you scored 6 victory points to my 4 round 1, and round 2 you got to something like 12 victory points to my 7. I think it was a case where you were starting to really start to
No,
open the gap.
round two, you finished ahead after round two.
I did?
Yeah, round three, I jumped back ahead, but there were points left unscored.
Okay.
And then round four was the final round.
Yeah. There is an important thing that happened in this. I was at one point Black Cat attacked Electro with a troublemaker attack, and I was about to forget to do Electro's thing, and uh, a person who was watching said, "Does she take a damage?" Which reminds me that's a power on Electro's card, and I use it, and then I used and she then triggered her her elusive trigger, and I used Electro's reactive power on that, which ended up killing Black Cat, and it was a very important kill. And that person who was watching was Brad.
Oh, I thought we were just not going to say my name. In my defense, I thought it was an automatic 1 damage.
I also didn't think he was going to say your name.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of I feel bad now.
It's fine. I'm so sorry. I just thought it was automatic.
It happens. It's fine. I benefited from this. So I feel like I'm not the person who can say that it's fine. But it was a case where if this had not happened, I probably don't win this game. Because she would have dazed, or not dazed. She would have staggered Sandman, and Sandman then went on to do 2 actions which were relevant to the game's final conclusion. Do you have the final score in front of you, Brandon?
It was 20-16.
20-16. Yeah. Anyway, this was a close game, and it just swung in my favor. Brad, do you want to talk about your second round?
Sure. I played a guy that's pretty new to the game. He mostly plays 40k. We played Alien Ship and Superpowered Scoundrels at 17 threat. So I played my normal 17 threat. If you've been listening, you know what that is. He played Steve 1, 2-point Black Widow, Quicksilver, Juggernaut, original Iron Man. And his inexperience showed a little in this game. On the first turn, he grabbed the middle objective with Quicksilver, which is probably fine. But I got a little lucky with I moved Rhino up and attacked him and dealt 3 damage, and then Rhinoberied Quicksilver to throw him into a piece of terrain for another damage. So he had 1 health left, and I had his objective. So at the end of, and then he never put anyone else on the middle point. So in the first turn, I had all 3 extracts and 3 of the superpowered scoundrels. So I started out with 6 points. The next turn, I think I lost one of the secures and scored 5. And then the next turn, he contested one of my secures and got an extract, and I scored 4. And that took me up to 15 points. And then the next turn, I got 6 again. Logan did a lot of work in this one. He basically fought Quicksilver and Iron Man by himself.
Logan can do that. That's
Yeah.
some Logan stuff.
And that was the game. I mean, X23 sat on a point with an extract the entire game, scoring me 2 points behind a size 5 building out of range 4 of Captain America. He had to move off the point to attack her, uh, if he wanted to. And he's like, the points are more important. And so he just never did that. So,
Mm.
uh, that's it for that game. I ended up winning 21-8.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move into round three. My round three opponent was the person who would end up winning this event. His name was Conan, and he was playing Hellfire Club. So I go into this game playing. Oh, what was I playing? I was playing. I believe I was playing Green Goblin's leadership. And the we were playing on 16 with Riot Spark and an extract that I don't remember. I think it was cubes. I think it was cubes. We were playing on no, it was Paranoia. Paranoia pummels populace. Because we were playing on 16 threat. That's what happened. And so we both played 4 threat models. His 4 were Emma Frost, Rhino, Logan, and Beta Ray Bill. My 4 were Green Goblin, Electro, Rhino, and Sandman. This game was this was a case where I was playing against someone who was clearly more experienced than me, and that's he was impressively confident in all of the things that he did. Every move that he made, he was like, he knew exactly what was going on. But a few things swung my way in this game, and this game was very close. I feel quite. I end up losing this game, but I feel like I put up a very good struggle, a very good fight. Uh, the my answer to Logan was to isolate him on one of the side points of the Riot Spark and just ignore him. And that was a pretty good answer because Logan's hard for me to deal with. Uh, so I ended up focusing on Beta Ray Bill, Rhino, and Emma Frost. He ends up getting very far ahead pretty early in this game. Uh, and he's at 15 points to my something like 7 or 8. And I have to prevent him from scoring any points this round. Well, I daze Rhino, I daze Beta Ray Bill, I daze Emma Frost with an unbelievably lucky die roll. It was a case where Rhino had to move up, make one 5 die score attack into her, and throw. And he ended up doing 5 damage with that gore attack, and then he threw a size 1 garbage can at her to do the final 1 damage I needed to do to daze her. I lose this game if I don't do that damage. But he does it. He manages to pull it off. And then Sandman sneaks over next to Logan and uses that sand beam that he has to push Logan off the point, which ends up with him scoring 0 points and me scoring. I don't remember exactly how many, but I stayed in the game. And then he ended up winning the next round. But the game ended 20-17, so it was a close game. This game could have been a lot more of a blowout than it was. That's what I'm gonna say to defend how badly I play. That's but this was a real. I was playing against someone who really knows what they're doing, and it showed. I could tell. All right, Brad, what was your round 3 like?
I played Spider-Foes player. We played Montesi Formula and Deadly Meteors. And I'm playing Weapon X, so Montesi Formula is the worst possible thing. So I had a weird list. I played Sabretooth, Domino, Deadpool, Hulk. He had Mysterio, Doc Ock, Sandman, Electro. and I failed to flip a meteor on turn one, and then otherwise we split points, and so he gets 3 to my 2. The next turn we split perfectly 3-3. The next turn I get 4 to his 2. So that then puts me ahead a point instead of behind a point. Then we score 3-3 again. And so all I have to do is score 3-3 again. His extract is really far away, and I can't really get to the pay to flips. So I play really conservatively this last turn, and I had 2 healthy characters. I put them both on my pay to flip, and then Toad ends up running away and hiding behind a building with his extract. Oh, I also had Toad. I guess that's relevant. And then he comes up, he needs 3 successes to flip my pay to flip. And if he can, he wins the game. So he tries it with a character, fails, and then Doc Ock has to like throw a car out of the way so he can even get up there. And then he tries the flip, and he rolls 4 dice, and he gets 3 successes, and he flips it, and that's the last activation of the game, and he wins. So once again, I feel like I was destined to lose this game because there's literally nothing I could have done about that.
Yeah.
I made it as hard as possible.
You did everything you could do to prevent it from happening,
Yeah.
and the dice just said no.
Yep. That's my game.
Well, okay. Brandon, what was your round 3 like?
I played. I was looking at your thing, Fred, because you were having issues remembering your last round.
You
So
played Brandon from Princeton.
I did play Brandon from Princeton. We played Scoundrels and Montesi. Point Threat. He was playing Black Order. He played Reality Corvus, Proxima, Supergiant, Black Swan, and Ebony Maw. I played Kingpin, Shadowland, Daredevil, Shang-Chi, Black Cat, Namor. Yeah. I do believe that I chose the right roster for this. He put he ported Ebony Maw up to the center point after double moving Corvus. Shadowland was there with an objective. Ebony Maw used a builder and one-shotted Shadowland Daredevil.
Ugh.
Proxima ended up like spear thrusting and one-shotting Black Cat in this game. I at one point had 4 blocks on a Shang-Chi where he dealt like he had 10 successes on like 6 dice. It was just overall really he played correctly and he rolled really, really hot. And there's literally nothing. I mean, it took 3 attacks to up and down Namor with cover and rerolls from Scoundrels.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it just all in all, like I mean, he played well. He definitely had a little red in his eyes because at a certain point in the closing rounds, he was gonna like chase after Kingpin, or not Kingpin, because I think he'd already killed Kingpin at this point. I think he was gonna chase down the wounded Black Cat instead of just moving on points. And I was like, hey, let's save some time here, and we moved on some points and chalked it up. I lost 18-12. I thought Fred rolled as hot as possible. I've never played a game where someone has rolled better than he did in that game. Like every single attack he did seemed to get like 6+ successes. I was very happy that it was him that did it because he's been learning and he's had some rough times so far. So it was a good turnaround for him to have some success, especially with Black Order, because I don't think he'd been having a ton of success. And his models are absolutely beautifully painted. He played well considering the scenario, and was able to do a really good job of making the right plays, getting in the right positions, um, and just doing everything he needed to do to win. He won 18-12. I don't remember if I said that or not. So I'm 1-2 at this point. So
All right. Well, this is honestly a rough tournament for all three of us. I don't think either any of us walked away feeling like we did exceptionally well. I mean, that being said, we were also against very hard opponents. This was a pretty high scoring. There were a lot of good players here. All right, let's move on to round 4. My game in round 4 was against a player named Jeff, who was from uh I'm not 100% where he was from actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, um,
he's one of the people from Pittsburgh, I believe.
one of the Pittsburgh crew. Okay, uh, he was playing Kingpin. This is my second Kingpin game, um, and we played Struggle for the Cubes and Infinity Formula because he won his secures, and I lose this game. This game, my strategy going into Kingpin, which is just roll well and have everything go your way, did not hold up, unfortunately. So I lose this game. He wins it 21-15. Uh, it's a little closer than it seems. At one point, I had 2 cubes on Rhino, and he had Lizard attack him once, and uh, that was the only option. He had one attack left into Rhino, and Lizard exploded and KO'd Rhino in this attack and picked up the 2 cubes. And that swung it into his favor because it would have otherwise. I mean, he was still going to win, but it would have been a lot closer. It would have been 19-17. So, oh well. He won at 21-15, and he was a great opponent. I enjoyed playing against him, and he played Kingpin very well. Uh, One thing he had Blob in his Kingpin list. Blob is usually a very good Kingpin model, but I used Vulture and basically kept him out of the game. He just essentially was never on the point. I just moved him off the point every single time with Vulture. Uh, and can I just say, Vulture kind of rules. Vulture kind of rules. I'm really liking him the more I use him. Okay, all right. Brad, how was your round 4?
Well, Brandon mentioned last round that there are a lot of good players here, and this was one of them. I don't know how I ended up in the same bracket as him, uh, but I played Kingpin player. His name's Brandon. I think he's from Charleston, West Virginia. We ended up playing Alien Ship and Infinity Formula at 17 points. Yeah. So Brandon won the die roll, and so we were playing Kingpin on Kingpin's extract. So I didn't think I had a pretty good game into this. Ended up much closer than I thought. Logan went off one turn, dazed Kingpin and Shadowland Daredevil in the same attack,
And killed Lizard.
and killed Lizard. Is that the same attack?
Yep.
And so there was one round where I think I scored a bunch of points and he scored like 1. And then the game count came down to a couple things going wrong for me to lose the game. Or at least not tie it to go into another round to see if I win or lose the game. The ended up 16-15. Like if Rhino didn't have stagger on him from Black Cat, he could have moved back onto the point after dazing Kingpin. Or if Kingpin didn't daze, then he would have been on a point that Kingpin wouldn't have been able to dislodge him from. And there's just so many things that went wrong at the end of this game.
If he doesn't daze Kingpin, he wins the game. Or if he doesn't KO Kingpin, he wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an interesting circumstance.
Yeah. It's
You succeeded too well,
yeah.
Brad.
And at first, like, he needed to put like 3 damage on him. 2 or 3. And I didn't have enough. And then I missed one of my wilds, and so I did have enough.
Yeah. You hit too hard, and it lost you the game.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a really good game. It's one of the best I've played against Kingpin. And a little that's luck. Like, you gotta rely on the dice to roll well. At least sometimes.
It was ultimately a really good game.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to round 5. My round 5 opponent was Borka. So this is the third person from our meta that I played in this tournament. There were only 6 of us who went up in a 24-person tournament. So, I mean, that's just how the cookie crumbles, I guess. And Borka was playing Kingpin. So this is my third Kingpin game. Oh, God. So we were playing on my secures. I won the toss, and I have 2 pay-to-flips. So I'm just like, all right, there's a 33% chance that this comes up bad for me. Well, we drew Superpowered Scoundrels. So our game was Superpowered Scoundrels and Legacy Virus on 20 threat. This game was pretty close, all things considered. I put up a very good fight. There's one, a lot of things went my way. This was a case where Kingpin, my strategy into Kingpin was starting to work, where just roll well and have things go your way. That's all you got to do to win in Kingpin. At one point, he had all 3 legacy viruses on Rhino, and he had Rhino run to a corner. So I'm playing Ghost Rider in this matchup. I have Ghost Rider, Hell on Wheels over, and make an attack into Rhino. He had Luke Cage nearby, so I was worried he was going to have Luke Cage take the attack. So what I did was I did the beam, Ghost Rider's beam attack to attack them both. I ended up doing some damage to Luke Cage, and I ended up absolutely blowing up against Rhino and dazing Rhino right then. I had 6 power on me, so I paid 6 power and picked up all... Well, no, hold on. That's not correct. I had 6 power, so I picked up 2 of the 3 legacy virus cures, but he had mission objective one over to Luke Cage. Well, I have one more action, so I do my builder into Luke Cage and blow up again, and I did 3 damage, which gave me enough power to pick up the final legacy virus cure. And this is the last activation of the round, so Ghost Rider KOs. Guess what I don't have anymore? Power enough to play Deal with the Devil. So I'm out Ghost Rider at this point. But it got me some victory points. From that point forward, this game is just me trying to stay in the game without him running away with it. And I end up ultimately failing. He ends up winning the game. 17-15, but it was close. I feel like it was close. It kind of wasn't. This was a case where he was going to win, no matter what. I just had some stuff go my way. It was a rough game to play too because it was getting late. It was round 5, and everyone was exhausted. This was such a long tournament. 5 rounds is too many rounds for one day. Okay, Brad, how was your round 5?
Well, before that, Fred, did you know that you scored the most points against Conan all tournament?
Did I?
Yes, by 6.
Okay, really?
Yes. So you should feel pretty happy about yourself.
I feel well. It was a case where things went my way once. It was that throw that I made against Emma Frost. He would have won that round, and I would have been. I think I would have been at like 10 or something.
That's still
and-
only one less than his final round.
Okay, I did well. I'm being a little bit maybe falsely humble. I played very well yesterday. I feel like I put my game face on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did end up going a grand total of 2 out of 5 games won, and the 2 people I won are here on the podcast with me. But I did also run a gauntlet of kingpins and fantastic players.
Yeah. So my last round, I played against a Cabal player, Alien Ship and Demons Downtown. Because it was an E, I didn't feel comfortable playing Logan. He's just not as good if you can't like isolate him. And I instead took Hulk, Deadpool, X-23, what's her name, Domino, and I took Nightcrawler, a character I thought I was never going to play, but this seemed like the time to play him. And I took Venomize on Hulk. He played, and people who know more than apparently I do will see the problem here in a second. He played 3-Point Zemo, Red Skull Master of the World, Ultron, 3-Point new. Sorry, they're both 3-Point new Crossbones, and Crimson Dynamo. After we set up, I should have said, "Hey, how many energy attacks do you have?" And he would have said, "Everybody but Zemo." And then I would have laid Venomize down on somewhere else where I could not see it and just not think about it all game and play a tactics card down. I did not ask my opponent this because it was round 5 and I was tired. And so I played Venomize on Hulk. And Hulk died very, very, very quickly. I still made some...
That's the threat of Venomized.
Yeah. I still made some... good plays in this game, but I ended up losing 17-11, going 1-4, and getting last place in the tournament, not counting drops. There were a couple 0-4 drops, but like I was the last place of people still in the tournament and got myself a prize for it.
Which you promptly gave away.
I did because I did not need it, and I gave it to people who would need it. Hopefully. Did that end up going to the Princeton guys?
Yeah.
That was my intention. But you grabbed it out of my hand, so...
Well, I don't think I don't think JP really cared about it, but Brandon was a very big fan of them.
Okay, so. Good. I'm glad he got some. Because I
think he ended up with like 2 full sets of energy, or a full set of energy, a full set of damage, 2 full sets of damage.
Okay, good. Yeah, they were energy and damage wood tokens, and I already have acrylic ones, so I tried to give it to the Princeton guys so that they could have some fancy tokens, and I'm glad that got to them. I think it's your turn, Brandon.
I played against a guy who we sat down and he was like, "Oh, you're playing Criminal Syndicate." He was like, "Well, I don't want to play this mirror match, so I'm gonna probably just play Doc Ock instead." I won the role. I picked my extracts. I played Riot. We played Riot's Paranoia at 17. I won 17-8.
As normally happens when you were up against Doc Ock.
I scored 5-5 and then 6, or 5-5 and then 7. Sorry.
He played the Kingpin mirror match the round before, right?
Correct. Yes, he had
Okay.
just played a Kingpin mirror match,
Yeah.
and he did not want to do it again. I don't blame him.
There were so many Kingpins in this tournament.
It was the highest represented faction was Criminal Syndicate.
Hey, Brandon, do you want to real quick talk about some of the stats that you find interesting? I know that's you enjoy that.
I do enjoy that. Like I said, there were 19 games played by Criminal Syndicate and 15 games played by Spider Foes. Those were the two highest, which is pretty surprising. The most surprising thing is nobody played Guardians of the Galaxy, nobody played Shield, and nobody played Wakanda.
That's wild.
It's crazy.
Yeah. There are some that make sense that weren't played, but those three are absolutely mind-boggling that were not played in the event. The top 3 characters that were played are not surprising at all. It was Rhino, Black Cat, and Toad. In the top characters, there's one that Shang-Chi was 11th, tied with Hulk and Kingpin for, 9th place. I think that number's only going to go up. I do believe the store sold out of both that box and the Namor box at the event.
When you say that box, you mean Shang-Chi's box.
Shang-Chi's box and Namor's box.
You mentioned a couple models in between there.
Yeah. Yeah, the new models. The models that are surprising. No one's surprised at this point that Kingpin and Hulk were being played. But Shang-Chi was already, in the top 10. Which was pretty impressive. I played Shang-Chi in one game and Namor in one game. Even though that game went extremely bad for me, both of those models were amazing. The most played tactics card was not surprising. It was Brace for Impact. The second most played was Mission Objective, and then This Is a Robbery. Exceptional Healing, and then we had Patch Up, Eyes on the Prize, Fallback, No Matter the Cost, to fill out the top 8. Those will be relevant. We will be talking about those shortly. The most played Crisis was very surprising. There were 10 players playing Superpowered Scoundrels and 10 players playing Struggle for the Cube Continues. Me and Brad talked about this yesterday. I do believe that's just straight up wrong. There were not enough people who were that good on Superpower Scoundrels to be playing 10, for there to be 10 players playing Superpower Scoundrels. I think a lot of people were choosing Crisis based on the number that is at the top versus their actual ability to play into it. There were a lot of Kingpin, so those did make sense. But there was only like 5, so there was 5 other people playing, and there was a lot of attrition in this tournament, so that one was pretty surprising. There were 22, which I believe is all the crises, so every crisis was represented in a list, I believe.
Really?
I believe there are 22 total, and they were all represented, because I think it's 12 and 10. I think they're like 12 of one and 10 of the other. I will fact check that shortly. But if that's the case, if there are 22, all 22 were played.
That's crazy. That rarely happens.
It's even funnier because as much as Brad played Alien Ship, only 2 players were playing Alien Ship in the event.
I played Alien Ship so much.
There were 2 players that played Alien Ship in the event. So it was honestly, the extracts were the crises were pretty spread out. The top 2, 8 Montesi. Like, that's the thing. So there were 10 people who played Scoundrels and 8 people who played Montesi. So it's like there was overlap there, and I don't know if there's a world where your roster should be playing both Scoundrels and Montesi formula. So I'm kind of confused on how
Hmm.
that ended up working, but there's a pretty good spread on those. Probably one of the biggest surprising is there's only 5 people playing Demons, and only 4 people playing Gamma.
Yeah,
So
what is up with that? Those are usually two of the highest scoring ones.
yeah, I do think
This
a lot of
tournament was
that
wild.
is there were not a lot of people playing Guardians, and those are, well, Gamma at least is one Guardians are really, really good on.
Yeah.
Um, Wakanda doesn't play on those, so that's not
I
really
think
surprising.
I think there were not that many people playing attrition. I think people were actually trying to play the scenario at this tournament, which is, I mean, good. That's what people should be doing.
Yeah, it's just wild because if you look at the rosters, like I feel like people were taking attrition rosters trying to play like scenario. Because like I said, there's a lot of Spider Foes. There were a lot of defenders. There were defenders was the third highest played thing, and a lot of the other Kingpin lists had more attrition in it than like mine is very, very hard on the scenario side. So I understand that I am like the outlier, but like looking, if I would have known these were like the most played Crisis going in, I would have been ecstatic. Like, and then seeing the rosters, I would have just been more ecstatic because there were a lot of people playing more like attrition based stuff versus like hard scenario stuff. Like, I would have been really excited. It obviously, it's just kind of odd. A lot of people playing Scoundrels is still really odd to me. Um,
It is.
so, but I do think it was really cool that they were like there were all I believe all 22 accounted for. I haven't got the count yet. Um, Everyone who played Shang-Chi did bring Chi Mastery. Um, I do believe that card's really good. I think I was very high on it when we talked about it. And everyone who played Namor played Prince's Protection, and I did get to play Prince's Protection um, against when I played Namor against Black Order. Being able to Prince's Protection in and then push everybody away was very good. Um, so it was pretty cool. There's a lot of variety, a lot of different characters were played. A lot of so there was a big spread. This was not a as much as we keep talking about all the Criminal Syndicate and the Spider Foes, there were drastically different lists that were being played with those models.
Oh yeah.
Um,
My list was
so
very different than all the other uh um Spider Foes players.
yeah, the main thing in common is about everybody probably had Rhino and most people had Black Cat. But even then, there was only 12 and 8, so it's not even right. Half the field had Rhino, less than half the field had everybody else, which I think is a really good change. We've seen a lot of metas where there's Beta Ray Bills, there's hundreds of Beta Ray Bills. Everyone's playing Beta Ray Bill. Only 3 people played Beta Ray Bill in this event, which
That's true.
there were just as many people playing Amazing Spider-Man and Magic that played Beta Ray Bill.
I kind of like this. This event was not as try hard. It
Yeah.
was just good players.
There were almost as many people who played Shocker as played Beta Ray Bill. All
Oh
right,
my
that
goodness. Oh my goodness. An incorrect decision.
so there's a lot of, like I said, it was pretty diverse. A lot of games were played. A lot of players got to play a lot of things. Um, so it was pretty cool the way it ended up panning out. Like I said, there were 4 players that had defenders in their roster. There were 14 games under defenders, uh, which was 1 less than Spider Foes and 5 less than Criminal Syndicate at 19. So only 2 Web Warriors players. Um, so it was definitely a really good, diverse spread of that ended up happening in this event. Just 3 really big factions not represented, which is probably the biggest surprise. Besides that, 2 people put Shocker in their roster.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this event was a ton of fun. We enjoyed it quite a bit. The winner, was Conan Jennings. He was an outstanding opponent and a truly outstanding player, and I congratulate him on his victory. Um,
And Brandon won Best Painted.
Brandon won Best Painted. I mean, it was. We've mentioned it before. These his Hellraiser, Black Guardian, Black Order, and it is incredibly good.
Yeah,
Y'all need
which
to
is
see
not
it.
me. Don't at me. I don't paint. Don't come at me. That's not me.
Same.
Me and they came over and were like to me and Fred while we were playing. We're like, you guys should put these models in. Then we were like, guys, get out of here. This
He
isn't
was
it.
saying that to everybody, Brandon.
No, but he came over and pointed at our models and we're like, hey, like you should enter that one. And me and Fred were like, yeah, we didn't paint these.
We didn't do it. That's not ours.
These are
We're
these
too
aren't
we're
us.
too honest. We're too
Yeah,
honest.
we
All
weren't
right,
gonna do it.
let's move on. We have a ton to talk about because there was a lot of information dropped over this past weekend at Ministravaganza. And so let's get started on that process because we need to talk about a lot of stuff. Thing one, Brad, what do you want to cover first? Should we cover the card rotation?
No.
Okay. What is thing one? Because I'm not
Thing
seeing...
one is, Fred, I haven't switched over because I thought we were going to talk about the fact that we got a bunch of new cards. We're not going to talk
Yeah.
about those cards today. We got new tactics cards. We got new character cards. You can see, if you're watching the YouTube, you can see in Cerebro, there's a bunch of new tags. I haven't even got all of them in yet because we were at the tournament yesterday and we're recording pretty early on Sunday. But we got a bunch of new stuff. Werewolf by Night. Ooh.
Yeah, we know the front of the card of Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, we did only get the fronts of cards. We also got a bunch of tactics cards that were added. Those are the tactics cards. I think all the tactics cards are in as of recording. And then we got
this guy.
We got
this
Apocalypse.
is Apocalypse. Yeah.
Who has optional parts. He has a buzzsaw arm and a gun arm that you can put on him. I plan on magnetizing mine. And,
cool.
Yeah. And we also got the front of his card. He's going to be a leader of an affiliation called Servants of Apocalypse. And he gets to give horseman cards to various people. They told us the affiliated characters will have 2 different horsemen that they can be. And that the lowest you can do all 4 horsemen at is 16. And with him being 6 points, that means it has to be 2 3s and 2 2s. So we know that there's at least 2 3s and 2 2s affiliated.
Mm-hmm.
Other characters that are in the MCP that could be affiliated. They said Archangel for sure. One of the Wolverine.
I'm gonna preface this by saying this is speculation because some of these are crazy. But go ahead.
Okay, but Archangel's not speculation. They told us he can be War or Pestilence.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
You're right. Archangel
He is
will
the
be
only confirmed.
He's
Yes.
the only confirmed.
The other ones that have been in the comics are Wolverine, so some sort of Wolverine probably. Hulk has been War.
I cannot imagine him having Hulk as one of his affiliateds.
Psylocke. I'm missing somebody. Gambit. If they use the movie as inspiration, the Apocalypse movie, that would add Storm, Magneto, Nightcrawler, and then Psylocke again. So, Psylocke's probably. I'm excited for Apocalypse.
Yeah, I think that she will probably be a... Yeah. She does not seem like a crazy option for him to have as an affiliated model.
Apocalypse's leadership is exactly what I wanted his leadership to be.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really thematic.
Yeah.
It's all about buffing his chosen 4.
Up to 4.
For his horsemen.
He also gets whatever powers he gives out, which is cool. And he's got a special token mechanic that pays for the powers in addition to just paying regular power and all that stuff. All right, let's move
And
on.
we will likely, we will likely go over Apocalypse in the near future when we
Yes.
have the back of his card.
Yeah, we do know that he is immune to all conditions on the back.
Yeah, that's the only thing we know. This
Uh,
looks cool, Brad. What is
yeah,
this?
so we're getting a bunch of Apocalypse terrain. They talked about how they had to be careful eventually because they would just casually mention, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had this to the sculptors? And then, like, they wouldn't hear anything for a couple days, and then the sculptors are like, oh, yeah, we made that. So we've got, like, a tomb entrance here and a couple, like, treasure chest looking
Sarcophagi?
things.
Okay.
They're not big enough to be sarcophagi.
Okay.
Then they've got lots of doohickeys to put around, and one of the things, like the specific thing they mentioned, is they've got these like little rejuvenation type. I don't know. They're people in this device, and that's one of the things they're like, "Hey, doesn't Apocalypse have these?" And then the sculptors just made it. So there's a bunch of scatter terrain.
For those of you who are listening, Apocalypse's terrain is like a weird mix of Egyptian themes and high technology.
Yeah,
It's kind of weird.
it's cool. I'm gonna buy
It's
all
cool.
this terrain. I'm gonna.
They look awesome. They
This
do look
is some
very
of the best looking terrain they've came out with in a long time.
Yeah.
No offense to the Hydra stuff, but that shit was dumb.
Is this the card art for the Apocalypse, the Four Horsemen?
Yeah, for the Horseman card, they wanted it to feature various horsemen and connect the art. So the first one is that's War, and we have Deathbird, Gazer, and War, and that's all he was ever called. We don't have any of those characters. Then the Death one, we actually have all three of these characters. We have Logan the Wolverine, Gambit, and then Archangel in that one. This is,
We kind of have Archangel.
I mean, he's coming out. This one
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Famine. The next one's Famine. And we have Ahab, who's not in the game, Sunfire, who's not in the game, and I think she was only ever called Famine. And then
Okay.
the last one is Pestilence. And we have Caliban, who's not in the game yet, Plague, and Polaris, who we don't have in the game yet. And I'm really hoping we get Polaris. I love Polaris in the comics. She's a character I've wanted since the very beginning. So
I feel
hopefully we
like
get
they
her.
chose this art very carefully so that they could say these characters are it's like these are on the cards for the horsemen, but we don't have any of these yet except for Death. We have
all
three
the
of ones
death
from
people. Yeah,
Yeah. So
they are like the three most famous versions of each one that are not the first horseman.
okay.
They're specifically not the first horseman. They're the most famous other versions of them. So I don't know how
All right.
carefully they picked. Hopefully we get all these characters. I'd love to see this.
And this, I want to say also, this art looks awesome.
It is awesome.
Like, it's a very good art.
Okay. So
Okay, what we're looking at now is the card for the front of the card for Apocalypse.
no.
And there's
This is the ultimate encounter, right?
Yes.
Oh, this is the ultimate encounter.
This is the ultimate encounter.
Oh,
So I listened to the video about this. It was part of the Apocalypse thing. Here's how the ultimate encounter works. It is 4 horsemen versus the 2 crisis teams. And the crisis teams are trying to like take away Apocalypse's power while the horsemen defend. And then that goes for a while, and then Apocalypse comes out, and he is of various strength depending on how successful the crisis team was at taking away his power. So like If they get him down to the first evolution, he's actually pretty easy to beat. But if they don't do a good job, like they actually said at one point, they said if you didn't get to this point, you just lose. But then they're like, that's no fun, and they just made a really super powerful version of Apocalypse that is basically impossible to beat.
He's very powerful.
And so that you can at least still play the game out. And some of the terrain factors into the ultimate encounter, but if you don't buy the terrain, it comes with tokens. But you can replace the tokens with the terrain. So like those treasure chests from before, you can go get some of his tech out of those treasure chests and use them in the game.
Cool.
This ultimate encounter sounds awesome.
It does. This sounds amazing. His powered up version is so amazingly powerful. It is an auto lose essentially.
I think to win, you have to like daze Apocalypse like 4 times. And there's like just no way you can do that.
Right.
With the big one.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can talk about the card rotation.
Yeah. Okay. So they are doing a new card rotation. They're moving some of the cards that are used regularly out of the game. And some of these on here are real heartbreakers. So the cards, I'll just read these off. The first one is Advanced R&D. They're moving it out of the game. These are in alphabetical order too. The next one is AIM Lackeys. Then Crew of the Milano. For those of you who play Guardians of the Galaxy, this is a heartbreaker. For those of you who don't, we're sending up cheers. Hooray. And then the next one. They are getting rid of the card Deception. Now, Deception is one of the best cards in the game, but and it's very powerful, but it is restricted already, so it's kind of... Oh, well. I mean, they are replacing it with a new card, but we'll go over that. Next up is Disarm. Then Escort to Safety. Then Eyes on the Prize. Then Face Me. Heave Ho. Inspiring Monologue. Kick 'em while they're down. Kunlun Training. Marked for Death. Ugh. Mission Objective. That one hurts quite a bit. No Matter the Cost. 1-2 Punch. Psychic Shielding Device, or PSD. Red Room Training. Smash. Sucker. Tactical Maneuvers. The Age of Ultron. Trip Up. Warpath. And finally, Exceptional Healing is now being moved out of the game. All right. Let's talk about this. Which one... Who wants to speak first on something about the cards that we've lost?
First of all, almost everyone who plays this game probably has one or more of these cards that they are tore up about them leaving. I am. Specifically, Mission Objective and Marked for Death. I play those cards all the time. I don't know how I kill Miles without Marked for Death. I don't think I'm ever going to kill him again.
Yeah, those are the two that make the least amount of sense to me.
Yeah, the Marked for Death and Mission Objective. Mission Objective, they're just like... I don't understand why they pulled it. It's not like an unbelievably powerful card. It's not one... It is one that a lot of people take, but a lot of people take it for having play into games where they're not ideally set out for scoring all the points on the table. And it helps to keep the game going. I don't know. Mission Objective hurts. Advanced R&D. I used to use Advanced R&D. I like it. It is a restricted card. It was a restricted card and is now a banned card. But it is unfortunate that it is no longer in the game. And then I was using disarm up until this most recent event, because disarm is great. Disarm's a great card, and it's no longer in the game.
Yeah, there are now only 4 restricted cards.
Right. Yeah. It's almost they're getting rid of the restricted cards one by one.
Well, one of them's not going anywhere.
No one's touching Brace for Impact.
They
That
have-
one's never getting removed.
They have reprinted it so many times that they clearly want it in the game.
Yeah.
Some
Should
of
just
these,
unban it.
they should unban it or unrestrict it. Some of these they talked about, like Age of Ultron. They play tested with the new Ultron, but they just felt like it's still a big enough problem that they wanted to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Someone pointed out at the tournament, I don't remember who, I think it might have been the other Brandon, that kick them while they're down was probably removed because of Apocalypse. Because
Yeah.
his team will put out so many conditions that it's just a no-brainer to take it. So, they didn't like the game. What?
I was gonna say exceptional healing is probably getting taken out because of a large number of upcoming characters with healing factor.
Yeah, they let Asgard keep theirs, but that's not as many characters as there are now with healing factor. They also mentioned escort to safety. Not escort to safety. Eyes on the prize. They just didn't like the first turn stuff that was happening with it, so they just got rid of it.
Yeah.
Which has been pretty consistent. That one I think makes the most sense. That and Advanced R&D, those are the 2 cards from the beginning of the game that have caused, well, since it came out, and Advanced R&D have caused all of the problems with, like, a lot of the bannings, a lot of the erratas have been, like, very centered around those abilities to play those cards on turn 1 and the feel bads that come with it.
Yeah, they're the shenanigans cards. They are what make Malekith, like, Advanced R&D is what you would use to make Malekith able to charge round 1 and like throw someone in the middle to the back point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then Crew of the Milano, they, like, back when Guardians of the Galaxies were a bunch of low-cost characters, it was fine. But now that they've got a bunch of big hitters, they want you to be able to put conditions on people like Cosmic Ghost Rider. So they had to get rid of the card.
Yeah.
And some of these cards, like, never got played. So they just...
The
They
Crew of
may
the
just be
Milano, I
cleaning
do
up.
think was because Guardians, the last 2 or 3 major tournaments had a massive amount of Guardians players, and I think that is kind of their way of doing something about it without doing something about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Without touching the characters and stuff. Which I would prefer that. I would prefer cards that are like that to go away versus, like, character erratas. Like, I would have much rather them ban, like, Advanced R&D instead of giving the second errata to, like, Malekith and stuff like that, but I'm still just gonna be forever bitter about that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Okay. A lot of these are cards that no one played, like Brad was saying.
Yeah.
I think that some of this might just be them cleaning up the game, getting rid of some of the extraneous stuff. Like, I don't think anyone was using Kunlun training.
A lot of them do similar things. A lot of them are reroll based, and I'm not sure if that was on purpose.
There
But,
may
like,
have been some shenanigans with characters that are coming out soon
like,
that they play tested.
yeah, like Inspiring Monologue, Kunlun Training, Red Room Training, and I believe Tactical Maneuvers are all reroll cards. And maybe Trip Up? Like, there's a lot of cards that do rerolls on this
no,
list.
Trip Up gives
Yeah.
out Stagger. I don't know. Cerebro's been updated.
Is that the one that gives out Stun?
It may give out Stun. 2 characters have to play it. I remember that. Cerebro has been updated. All these characters are now marked as banned. All these tactics cards are now marked as banned. You can still access them if you need it for an event that's coming up that's not using the rotation. You just have to change the settings. But
Yeah.
I know locally, like we have a tournament next week in Pittsburgh, and they said rotations in effect. So
Yeah. This rotation came out the day before the Columbus tournament that we went to, and he sent out a message saying that it was not in effect yet, that all of our lists
which
were
was the
still
right
valid.
call. Just
Yes.
for the record, that was
Stun
the right
and
call.
it gives out stun and stagger trip up.
I
If they deal
thought it
damage to
gave
an
out
attack.
both, but I wasn't fully sure.
Yeah, it was also just put in. It was very recently reprinted in the Web Warriors affiliation box.
Huh. That is very recent.
Yeah.
And before we go, I want to let exceptional healing. I was just getting used to having that on Sandman, being able to use it for Sandman. So,
We also
it's
just got a reprint of Warpath as well.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, where was it reprinted?
In the retailer kit that came out like 3 months ago.
I got it
Oh,
for attending a tournament.
But
I remember.
the first set of retail cards that they put out, came out like right before or right after the first time they rotate cards, and had a bunch of rotated cards in it. So I'm not actually surprised.
Okay. Let's move on.
So not only did they rotate cards, they errated some of them. Most of these are clarifications. Do you want
None
me?
of them were really changes, right? They were just kind of.
No, there were changes.
Fixing. Okay, I don't know the changes, so.
Do you want me to go over
really
them?
Big change. There's a huge one.
Yeah,
let's go through them.
I can do it real quick.
We don't unless. Okay, yeah, go through it real quick.
All right, cloning banks. They added a rounding down on there to make sure that you knew it was rounded down, even though that's how it works. World domination. They put securing instead of whatever controlling or whatever they had there. That was just clarification. First of the Black Order, they added allied Black Order characters gain 1 power, so that you know your opponents don't gain power. That's how it always worked. Time travel, don't ask. They reordered the wording so that it worked the way it was supposed to, that they clarified on release. Meet my executioner. You can't play if Scourge is going to suffer a collision. Just anybody else on the field. Lockjaw. What was Lockjaw's thing? Oh, it has to be an enemy effect that KO'd the character, not their own effect. So, like...
Ooh, okay.
I can't even think of an example where a character would KO itself or an ally, and then you could play last minute save.
Well, it could be like a whisper, from Black Bolt, and it would KO one of his allied models, and there's just no way to avoid it.
Yeah, or like a beam or an area that does damage. It also would prevent you from last minute saving the character you sacrifice to give Apocalypse an extra activation.
Right.
Yeah. Ironbound books, you don't get it back when grunts die anymore. That's a big change.
All right, I didn't know that change.
Right.
And to be fair, that's how it should have always been.
That is how it should have always been. Daughters of Thanos is now 1 cost per character instead of 2. This is a robbery costs 4 instead of 2. Also,
that's a huge change too.
Yeah, that's really
also probably the correct change.
Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely.
Rhino was the most taken character in the last tournament, and it's because of this as a robbery.
Yeah. Online.
Not.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, we all played that this is robbery. We all are gonna miss it, but we all understand that it should have never been 2. It should have always been 3 or 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Online and operational, for the people who don't know, that's the one that lets you flip a Sentinel back to healthy side. It now costs 4 instead of 8.
Makes Sentinels a lot more playable.
Versatile.
Still not bad.
Yeah. Versatile strategy is they just clarified that the last leadership is not in effect anymore, and they changed who plays the card. So now an allied character without an active leadership can play the card instead of the character with an active leadership.
So if the character dies.
If your leader dies, you can still play the card.
Yeah.
Dark empowerment. There was some sort of clarification here. I don't remember what it is, but it was literally just a clarification. Joint effort. They changed it to attack action. So it's always like worked on beams and whatever, but it specifically won't work on things like Shang-Chi's charge does not give you an attack action. So it wouldn't work on his charge. Stuff like that.
Okay.
For an assignment, I literally couldn't find a difference. I was told at the tournament that they cleaned up the language, but I'm pretty sure I read it word for word next to its old version and could not find the difference. So I don't actually know. And then we got 2 new cards. These cards basically replace exceptional healing and deception. So instant recovery is an unaffiliated reactive card. When an allied character with healing factor suffers 1 or more damage from enemy attack, after this effect is resolved, it may spend 3 to play this card. Remove up to 2 damage from this character. So
it's so much worse than exceptional healing, but it is also usable. Like, I will probably replace exceptional healing with this.
And it's easier to play.
Yeah, because you're never like questioning when is the right time to use it. You're just gonna be like, well, I can heal too.
Well, you also get the power first, right?
You get the power first. So that's one of the ways that it's easier to play. So you get hit for 3 and you just play this and you only took 1.
It does prevent a lot of feel bad moments. I do know that exceptional healing was played in a lot of the games I played in this past tournament against me, and each time was a very big swing for the opponent, where if it was this card instead, would never have been relevant.
Yeah, I was in my game against the Avengers, I was absolutely ready to exceptional healing his Helios laser. It never came up because I ended up dazing Iron Man the turn he was going to Helios laser, but it would have probably felt really bad for my opponent if I had done that to him.
Right, and during the Charcon event, didn't Borka's Thor do something like 12 damage to Deadpool, and then you just exceptional healinged it? Something like that.
Borka's Thor?
I don't. No, not Thor. Hulk. Sorry.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, something like that I think happened.
Yeah.
I was really confused on why Borka would have been playing Thor in that event.
Yeah, I used the wrong term, sorry.
Mostly because I know he was playing I knew he was playing Inhumans, so I was like,
Inhumans. He also won that event with Inhumans. I don't think we ever said that he won the event. He got He got a metallic painting kit that was given to us by Charcon. They provide the prize for it. I was
going to ask what the prizing was.
Yep, that's what it was. The new deception is called Stolen Identity. It's unaffiliated and active, and Mystique can play the card. This is very similar to Deception with one key difference. Choose an enemy character without an activated token within range 4 of this of this character. If there are no other non-dazed enemy characters within range 2 of the chosen character, you may advance the chosen character at speed towards this character.
This is so much worse than Deception was.
It is. The key difference is they have to not have an activated token. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
That is huge.
It basically is you don't use it in any of the same circumstances.
Nope.
You never use Deception this way. And
Nope.
this basically neuters it quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how much this is going to get played.
I can see, I can come up with circumstances in my head where you would use this, but it is way less frequent than Deception.
Yeah.
Like, and this card probably doesn't make your 10.
I think.
So to confirm, you don't. It does not have to be on Mystique's activation, right?
That's
true.
Mystique just
That's
has
true.
to pay for the card.
Yeah.
So like the only way is if you're playing a list that wants to kill things and you can like bring it in to a Juggernaut and then just kill it. But I do
Or
think this card
Magneto.
sees. Yeah, I do see this card. I do think this card sees very little play. I do think that really hurts Brotherhood as an affiliation.
It really does. Deception was great.
I also just want to point out that if extended tournaments start becoming a thing where no cards are rotated or banned, you can start playing exceptional healing and instant recovery in the same list. And same thing with Deception and Stolen Identity.
Oh, yeah.
But nobody ever plays extended tournaments. Nobody ever runs extended tournaments.
The cool thing about instant recovery too is you have healing factor. You can pay the power and heal 2 if you only took like 1 damage.
That's true.
Yeah, so you could come out of the
That's true.
attack healthier than you were.
That's true.
That card has a lot more playability than Stolen Identity does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Next news.
All right, let's move on.
The
The
homies.
Abomination and the Wrecking Crew, their models, and we got the front of a Wrecking Crew's card. It's cool. It's neat. It's a different like kind of style of play. It's if you want to check it out, go to Cerebro. And I like these models. These models are really good.
They are
Okay,
confirmed
let's-
Criminal Syndicate models.
Yes. Let's rush through some of these because I think we're over an hour and a half on the record.
Okay.
Yeah. Elsa Bloodstone and Man Thing. These models are cool. I'm looking forward to picking this character pack up for the Midnight Suns. Okay. Nova and Yondu. I don't think we've seen these character models yet, but they are cool. These are cool, especially Yondu. I like the arrow. You can see the arrow flying next to his head.
They also chose to go like halfway in between the movie version and the comics version.
Okay.
Because the comics version has the bow. And so they kind of incorporated that. But he looks a lot more like the movie version otherwise.
Yeah. All right. There's a new Inhuman pack coming out with 4 new characters. And I know who one of them is. It's a new Black Bolt. It's like a different Black Bolt model.
If you see the image from left to right, it's Maximus, which is Black Bolt's brother, Gorgon, who's real dumb, Black Bolt, it's a pretty cool Black Bolt model, and
It is.
my favorite Inhuman Karnak, who is a monk who sees the weakness in everything and can exploit those weaknesses.
Okay.
That's a very modern Karnak design, which I was surprised to see.
He has like sneakers on. It's very cool.
Like he classically does not look like this. This is very, very modern. Oh man, I'm so excited.
Who is this? I don't know who this is.
This is
Gladiator?
Gladiator,
Yeah, okay.
who is kind of a parody of Superman. He lives in space. He's the last of his race. Although it turns out that's not true. So this pack's called War of Kings, and it's a character and crisis card pack, and we don't know what that means. I haven't got to that part in the video, so I can't help.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Gladiator though.
For that guy. All right, this is Avalanche, Exodus, and Lady Mastermind. These are Brotherhood characters. No, wait,
Yes.
Yes, they're Brotherhood characters.
They are Brotherhood
characters. It also bugs me that they put the models in reverse order to what the name of the character pack is.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for this. These will be awesome. Exodus is very powerful. It's crazy we haven't got Avalanche yet, and I mean, Lady Mastermind is just silly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are we ready to move on?
Cool characters, Brotherhood needed new things.
Yes.
All right, this is Echo, Tigra, and Ronin. This is another case where they're out of order.
They really very much are. So it's Tigra on the left, Ronin, Clint Barton in the middle, and Echo on the right. I love Echo, so I also like Ronin. So I may actually get this pack.
These models look cool. Okay, let's move on. There's going to be a Spider-Verse character pack, and they've only released one character from it. And who is this character, Brad?
I was gonna ask you.
I have no idea. This is like a Spider-Man
right?
from the future or something.
This is Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah.
Future Spider-Man. I also think Spider-Ham and Spider-Man Noir are going to be in this pack. I don't know if there will be a fourth one. It looks like they're going to 3 character packs based on the last 2 images.
Yeah. Or they just have not told us what's in them yet. Who
That's
knows?
true. There could be a fourth one.
Yeah. And then Phoenix and Phoenix Unleashed. These models look incredible. We are seeing unpainted versions of the models, but I think these are what
they're the renders.
Yeah,
they're computer renders.
This is what they are going to look like.
They could change.
Oh, they could change?
They could change, but this is close to the final version.
Okay, it looks cool. It's very cool. So there's Lady Phoenix and then Phoenix Unleashed. So there's going to be some sort of transformation power probably. And Phoenix Unleashed has grunts. It looks like, or terrain pieces that
or
she
like
can put out.
It could be like Magneto's thingies. It's whatever.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for this pack.
Yep.
Obviously. And
they've showed us the release schedule.
They explicitly say it's non-exhaustive this time. They are still hiding stuff from us.
Yeah. Because Apocalypse is not on here.
Apocalypse is not. And people don't know if he's August or September. Like, there's a lot of back and forth on that. And this timeline, the stuff we've seen goes up to Q3 of next year. So, like, this time next year, it's 12 months worth of stuff. So most of this stuff's not coming out anytime soon.
Right. So it's a ways off. And
then there was one more reveal about MCP during this Ministravaganza. And we got a bunch of terrain rules.
These are fun. These are a lot of fun.
So there's a ton of these for terrain.
There's too many to go over.
For terrain they've already printed. Some fun ones are like the Weapon X program gives every model that doesn't have healing factor 1.
Which Weapon X probably hates.
Yeah, I wish it
They
was
don't want to play that.
characters with healing factor 1 add 1 to their healing factor, and if you don't have healing factor, you gain healing factor 1. That would have been cooler. And then I could
Okay,
have
the Weapon X player here.
and then I could have played the new Weapon X and he would have had healing factor 4. Oh, the Quinjet one's really cool too. So at
Oh
the
yeah.
end of every turn, if the game's not tied, you roll a number of dice equal to the difference in points. And if a crit is rolled, the losing player shuffles up their unused characters and pulls one out randomly. And the plane lands, and that character gets off the plane and is now part of your roster.
That's so much fun.
It's so awesome.
It's silly and fun.
I am now very, very glad I have a Quinjet. Whereas before it was kind of a pain to use, this makes it just fun. So
yeah.
The car one's really cool too. You get in the car and you drive it long and you run over people and deal damage. It's called High Octane. It adds 0 hit points. And then, yeah, it's cool. Everyone should give these a look. And if you're playing games for fun, give them a try.
All right.
Fred doesn't know how to play games for fun anymore.
That's true. He's violent.
I threatened to punch Brandon in the face. In my defense, he had it coming.
I don't believe that was true at all.
All right, let's move on to Brad's trivia game.
Oh shoot! I gotta grab my phone. Okay, so the trivia game. This is where I ask Fred some trivia about characters in MCP, but the trivia is not about MCP, it's about the comics. And if he gets it right with the first piece of information, he gets 3 points. If he gets it right with the hint, he gets 2 points. And if he has to go to Brandon for help, he gets 1 point. And he needs 6 points to win. Fred, do you have any questions about how this game works? Great. Your first question. This character's powers include healing blood and enhanced vision.
That's it?
That's
healing
it.
Blood and enhanced vision? Healing blood. There's something about that sounds familiar, but I don't know who it is. Is it... I don't know. Enhanced vision? I'm going to just guess X-23. And I know that that's incorrect.
That is incorrect. Your hint.
Okay.
This character's college roommate later attempted to kill him to gain his fortune. The attempt appeared to work, but another character had intervened to save him.
I definitely remember this being a thing, but I don't remember who it is. Is it... Oh, no, hold on. Is this Angel?
It is Angel, Fred. We talked about this in the car last night.
Yeah.
Literally
yeah.
less than 16 hours ago.
Hey, I got there.
You
and,
did.
And we
you
didn't
did.
talk about him having healing blood.
No, we didn't. So I had to pick powers that weren't obvious. Like he can fly. Yeah, he actually has hollow bones, which I thought was too much of a giveaway. He has enhanced eagle-like vision, and he has healing blood. Like he can spill his blood on someone and it heals them. Which
cool.
is like an angelic healing power. So and then last night we talked about how I didn't say his former college roommate, at least when we were talking last night, but his friend tried to did have his wings cut off and tried to kill him, and then Apocalypse grabbed him away and gave him the metal wings and made him death.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Also, all of the fans think that the roommate is gay and in love with him. He's an evil gay. All right. You ready for your next question, Fred?
Yes.
This one's a hard one. You okay?
Oh God. Okay.
This character traveled back in time and met an early Mr. Sinister that was experimenting on the babies of a woman known as Black Womb. In this story, it's implied that the character could be the son of the Womb, who is a mutant who can't die but does keep aging, which would make him related to Scott Summers, who is descended from one of Black Womb's children.
Huh. Okay. Oh my goodness. Well, there is something about this that weirdly I strikes a chord that I remember, but I don't remember who, because I have a bad memory. Is it Professor Xavier?
That is incorrect.
Okay.
Your hint. This character was originally not supposed to be a real person. The original conception of this character and Mr. Sinister were both creations of a mutant kid who never grew up. Mr. Sinister being what the kid thought as the ultimate bad guy, and this character being the coolest good guy.
Is it Logan? It's not. That's my guess.
Your
Logan.
guess is Logan. So you did very good getting into the mind of who would a child think is the coolest superhero. That's not the correct one, though.
Okay.
Brandon, do you know who I'm talking about here?
I don't, honestly. He used the guess that I was going to, but I'll go with Cable.
Not a bad idea, because
He does time travel stuff.
And Cable's origin was changed, like from the original conception to what he became. But that's not it. That's not correct. The correct answer is Gambit.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Gambit.
Okay.
Okay.
Huh.
Your last question, Fred, and you have 2 points so far, so you just need to get 4 here. This character.
Okay.
What?
I need to get an impossible amount. All right, let's do this.
This character's brother is a flag hero, a hero named after their country and wearing its colors, like Captain America.
Did you say this character's brother
Yes.
is a flag hero? Like Captain America. So, is it like Captain Canada? But then the brother of Captain Canada, which would be James Logan Howlett? Is that my guess?
Is that your guess?
That's my guess. It's wrong.
That is wrong. That is wrong.
Okay.
Your
I really
hint.
just wanted one of these answers to be Wolverine, apparently.
Oh
Yeah.
shoot! Sorry. I'll give you a redo on that because I missed a whole sentence here. This character also briefly took up that mantle before and is now has it permanently. So they have become that flag hero. So I'll give you another
Okay.
guess on that.
I'm not gonna come up with a better answer. Is it who's a person from the frozen Northlands of Canada? I'm assuming Canada. It may not even be Canada. Is it this guy's from Russia? It's probably from Russia now that I'm thinking about it. What is it? Red Guardian.
It is not Red Guardian. Your hint. This character and an Asian woman switched bodies and were recently switched back.
Daggone it. I don't. This strikes. I remember something about this, and I don't remember who it was. And so I'm not going to be able to answer it sensibly. Is it Black Widow?
It
It's not.
is. It is not Black Widow.
Okay.
Brandon, do
Throw
you
it to
know
Brandon.
who this is?
Kane's brother was flag character. This
Yes.
character became a flag character. And they were an Asian person for a while,
Yes.
and you didn't give us any gender
Well,
hints.
I said that they switched bodies with an Asian woman.
Yeah,
That's the only
so I
gender
guess
I gave you. Yes.
yeah. I'm gonna go with Nightcrawler.
Huh. Interesting. No, it's not Nightcrawler. It is actually Psylocke, Betsy Braddock, and the model we
Psylocke.
got is actually her in the Asian body.
Oh, okay.
The Asian character's name is Quanon, and in current comics, she is called Psylocke. She's back in her correct body, and she's called Psylocke, and she looks just like that because it's her body. And
Okay.
Betsy Braddock is back in her body and has become Captain Britain.
Oh, Captain Britain.
Yes,
Okay.
she is the new Captain Britain.
Okay.
Her brother Brian used to be Captain Britain.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Your bonus question, Fred, worth 4 points. You ready?
yeah.
What do these characters have in common? And
Okay, so
the answer is not that they are X-Men.
okay. All right. So, I know one thing, and that is that I think they were all horsemen of the apocalypse and specifically death.
That is
Is that
correct.
correct?
That is correct.
Haha. Haha. I would not have known about Gambit had you not said it earlier in the podcast.
I was
And
seeding
same with
this.
Psylocke.
That was pretty impressive that you remembered it from earlier in the
So,
podcast.
so what? Did I say Psylocke was a death earlier?
You did.
All
You
right.
did say that.
Okay. So there was one of the iterations of the Horsemen was the 4 Horsemen of Death, and there were 4 different deaths, and Psylocke was one of them. So
Okay.
she was a death. You did
All
very
right,
good on
well-
the bonus question, Fred. You did awful.
Yeah,
in the
yeah, I
regular
missed
trivia.
everything else. Okay, thank you, Brad. That was fun.
Sure.
All right, well, okay. We have gone for quite a long time, so let's try and go a little bit quicker here. Let's talk about the person that we are here to talk about today, and that person is Thor, hero of Midgard. His defenses are 4 physical, 4 energy, and 4 mystic. He has 9 stamina on his front side and 8 on his back side. He has a threat value of 6, size 3, and he has a movement speed of medium. All right, Brad, why don't you go over his attack suite?
He has an energy attack called Odinson's Ire. It's range 3, 7 dice. It costs 0. Gain power equal to damage dealt. Wild Lightning Arc. After this attack is resolved, choose a number of other enemy characters within 3 of the target character equal to or less than the number of wild results in the attack roll. The chosen character suffers 1 damage. Wild hit, push, and after attack is resolved, this character may push the target character short.
No size restriction.
No size restriction, yeah. Physical attack, I would have Words with Thee. It's range 3, 10 dice, cost 4. Before damage is dealt, this character places itself within one of the target character. After attack is resolved, if the target character is size 4 or less, this character throws the target character away medium.
Yeah. Okay, Brandon, why don't you do the next 2 superpowers? That is Have at Thee and the Power of Thor.
Not reactive. active superpower, the power of Thor. For 3 power, you can choose an interactive terrain feature of size 4 or less within 2 and throw it long. You can only use it once per turn. And then I say nay, villain for 3. It's reactive. After an attack targeting this character is resolved, it may use this superpower. If the attacker is within 3 of this character, you roll 7 dice. The attacker suffers 1 damage for each crit and wild in the result. This superpower can only be used once per turn.
Okay, and I'll read the remaining superpower on his card, which is Have at Thee. It is a 3 cost, it costs 3 power. He throws himself medium and does not suffer damage if it collides with the other character terrain feature, and it can be used once per turn. It's basically a pounce, but it's not called pounce. And then, of course, he is Asgardian, which means he gets an additional power every power phase, and he has flight and immunity to shock. All right, so this guy rules, right? He's an incredible 6-threat model. He's a 6-threat model that you could ostensibly take in place of Thor, of Hulk. That's the second time I've done that this podcast record. So I think that he has what is it, 17 stamina. So he's got close to the 20 of Hulk, but he can get dazed. He can get dazed, which is something that Hulk cannot do. So Hulk can take something like 14 damage in one round, while Thor cannot. He hits like an absolute truck. He has a 7-dice builder that's range 3, which is great. That has a bunch of cool triggers. That lightning arc, which is honestly very cool. And then, of course, he has a pounce, which is great. All right, I don't want to talk too much about all the stuff because I want to leave some stuff on the bone for Brandon and Brad. Hey, Brad, what are your thoughts here on Thor?
I'm glad his attacks are range 3, because if let's say his builder was range 2, then he would need a charge for sure. But they kind of got around that. Also, the pounce gets him in place pretty well. I really like his spender. Like 10 dice, size 4 throw is really good. And
now it specifically says away,
but you place within one of
medium.
them first.
Oh, you're right. So you can just make it work however you want to make it work.
Yeah. As someone who plays Logan a lot, that's really good because that's how his charge works. Is he gets to place and then throw. I say the Nay villain is my favorite thing though. It's that Counter-Strike attack, but you roll 7 dice instead because he's 6 threat. I think that's hilarious actually. You're gonna do so much damage with that.
Yeah, you don't want to attack him because he may just say, "I say thee, nay, villain," and KO you. He could do a ton of damage with that. All right, Brandon, what are your thoughts here on Thor, Hero of Midgard?
Yeah, he's really good. I mean, he's really good. He's on a medium base, right?
Oh, almost certainly.
Yes, he's the only medium base in that set, I think.
Yeah, so he's medium base, medium move, that in range 3 attacks. So he's already doing really good. He's got all the 4 defenses, which is what Asgard wants because they like to play pay to flips. I mean, this model's going to see a ton of play. He's really, really good. Everything on the card's really good.
Yeah. This guy can be. I'm not saying he's better than, but there are games where you would prefer to have this guy over 6-point Hulk, and they're filling kind of the same role, which is a huge kaiju level threat that your opponent has to deal with, or he's going to kill everything.
Oh, and you don't have to do anything to have his spender turned on turn 2.
Right.
So on turn 2, you can immediately spender, place, throw, and then do a builder. And then if you get 3 through on the builder, then you can throw yourself or trade or keep it for a defensive tech. So being able to place on 3, attack twice, you get a place range 3, plus yourself medium. You can really get yourself across the board while making attacks, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. And let's also point out that he can throw his terrain pieces long,
Yeah.
which is great.
The only thing that would have made this character better is if it would have been terrain feature or character size 4 or less.
Yeah, but we can't have everything.
I feel like it was probably written that way. It was tested. It was way too good, and it was removed.
Yeah, you're probably right.
There's also just a general design move that they've made that superpowers throw terrain and attacks throw characters for the most part.
Yes.
Bishop. All right. Then is that basically he's kind of simple other than that. I mean, he's not. There's a lot of interesting play you can do, but he is a beat stick that's a 6 threat that your opponent has to do something about him or he's going to kill everybody on their team. And
it's everything everyone wanted the first Thor to be.
Yeah. This is the Thor that's a total badass that you cannot deal with. And I think that he's going to see a ton of play. People may splash him outside of affiliation. We'll see. I think it's very possible. And
I think the only thing that'll hold this model back is that he's going to come in like an $80 box.
Yeah. You're right. You're right about that. That's true. Let's give this guy a letter grade. I think he's awesome. I think he's great. I'm tempted to give him I'm giving him an A+. This guy is an A+ of a model. He will be important to the meta, almost certainly. That's what I'm giving him. Okay, all right. Brad, what are you gonna give to Thor, Hero of Midgard?
A-. He doesn't really have defensive tech other than he rolls 4 dice. Otherwise, he is pretty strong. I think he'll see a little bit of splash outside of affiliation.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I say the nay, Brad.
Well, yeah, I mean, but
he has defensive tech that's really powerful.
But that doesn't keep him from taking damage.
You're correct. It doesn't keep. It is a psychological effect to keep him from taking damage.
But I think he'll see some play outside of affiliation. He is good. A-.
Yeah. All right, Brandon, what you got?
I'm gonna stick with a hard A. Just because I do think, because once you do that, you can't do it the rest of the turn. So like, if he activates first, you can do that one time, but he does have a lot of power he wants to spend on his side, offensively.
What is that you were mentioning?
I say the.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So only
you
being able
to use once per turn.
Yes, once per turn.
If he has the power.
Yeah. So it's gonna be tough to use it a ton. So chunks of damage are definitely gonna affect him. And it's really at this point we're really comparing him to like Hulk, and other 6 threats because I do think he's really really good. I do think we'll see a lot of him when he first comes out. I think it'll kind of fade away. I don't think he has the best like object play like Hulk does. Like Hulk has a ton of really good object play, always being healthy, and being able to have with Gamma Leap on a large base. He can kind of get around really easy. And this one he can too, but he gets less power. It's interesting. I do think he's really good though.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're all over the A's for Thor, Hero of Midgard. He's good. He's very good. Let's move on to comic book recommendations. Brad, what have you got?
Well, we've already done regular Thor, so I had to find different things this time, and I think I did a good job. So, also, we did Thor back when Jared was still the host of this podcast, so that was a little while ago. The first one is Thor, the Mighty Avenger. This is an 8-issue series by Roger Landridge and Chris Samney. and this is a more lighthearted telling of Thor's early adventures in Midgard, otherwise known as Earth. It includes a story where Thor and World War II Captain America end up in King Arthur's court.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, see, that sounds like fun, right?
That does sound like fun.
And that's what this series is. The series is fun. In parallel to his adventures, the book also explores him and Jane Foster's relationship. So, if you like that, you can enjoy it.
Okay.
The next is the Thor series from 2007, which I think is the third one. It's J. Michael Straczynski and Oliver Coipel. And Asgard has fallen to Ragnarok. And Thor awakens once again in the mortal body of Dr. Donald Blake and learns that the other Asgardians are on Midgard in the bodies of mortals scattered around the world. So he goes on an epic quest to find and reawaken them and to rebuild Asgard. And he's willing to work with some shady characters to make that happen. This storyline's also the one where Loki becomes female. And there's a big mystery about where and who Odin is in this one. It actually, Fred,
Okay.
have you seen what is that? The Almighty, it's that New Zealand show, the Almighty something. Johnsons, the Almighty Johnsons. Have you seen
No,
that
I
show?
haven't.
You should watch that show. So it's about a bunch of New Zealand people who are the reincarnations of Norse gods. And Odin is a teenage boy who just found out that he is Odin. And Loki is a local used car dealer.
This sounds cool.
It's-
This sounds like New Zealand gods instead of American gods.
Sure. It is very funny as well. So, I would highly recommend that to you and the listeners. It's really good.
All right. Well, are those the comic book recommendations?
They are. It's on Peacock, Tubi, Amazon Prime Video, Plex, and Freevee.
Okay. Well, there you go. Brandon, do you have an affiliation where Thor, Hero of Midgard, would fit very well?
Yeah, I think he honestly, I think he can replace Hulk in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
One of the worst things about Hulk in Guardians of the Galaxy is he's size 4, and he can just one-shot all of the other models on the table. This being a size 3 model, gives a little bit more survivability to that, but I think he fits in almost perfectly in that roster. That's what I got.
Oh no, did we lose Fred?
I think we might have lost Fred.
Okay, well, to vamp for just a second while he see if we get him back. Do you know when we did the Thor episode, everyone was giving recommendations for putting characters in the list, if we remembered to. And do you remember what Jared would always say? If he were here right now, he'd say, Thor, Hero of Midgard. Play him in Asgard. He works really well with the Asgardians.
Yep. That checks out. I do remember that now.
Yep. That was his recommendation for Thor. Well. Oh, do we have Fred back?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm sorry. My neighbor rang my doorbell again. I apologize. I keep running away. All right, is that it for the episode? I think we have been recording for something like 2.5 hours. We need to cut this off. Thank you everyone for sticking with us, and have a good time playing some MCP. The rest of the week. Goodbye.